Yeah, but Niall, I believe the jitters are gone. It's only been 2 weeks for this guy to taste the MPL atmosphere, and I believe he can display his full potential, his full micro prowess, and also macro this time as well, fixing all his mistakes and blunders in week number 2.
You know what? I love that Mirko earlier touched on the team fight that Dewa United can bring. Leo Murphy, as you all know, really likes the Kufra, really likes the heavy roam. But in this current patch, right, if we're talking about these healers, it's also very viable. And I feel like he needs to evolve. Going up against Baloyski, who likes to pick off, it doesn't really help here. I mean, Dewa United last 2 matches, not looking too great. So again, they either need to somehow change their playstyle or they really need to shine what they're already good at. Now, again, with the change of rosters though, is it the wise move? I don't know.
Ooh, is it the wise move though? Looking at the history of week number 2 for Dewa United, impact player Keys and Lanaya, and you might think, you know, not much of an impact if they lose, right? But you gotta realize that these games, it's not close games, right? Sure, game number 1, it might seem like a dominant display for Bigatron and Onyx. But in game number 2, especially with Onyx, they actually takes the charge in early to mid game. They just have to fix the late game shot calls from Leo Murphy, those pickoff compositions that he has. Making the right decision in the late game is much more important than getting that snowball in the early game, I would say.
I think we were able to see 2 different ways to beat Dewa United there, from Bigatron Alpha and Onyx. For Bigatron Alpha, they nailed Watt down. They took him out, banned out his heroes, denied him of a comfort pick, and then ganked his lane, giving Super Saiyan so much more space, but ultimately crashing and breaking Dewa United's ultimate weapon in that gold lane. But for Onyx, they took a different approach. They said, bring it on. Give Watt those comfort heroes, give Watt that mid game, let's brawl it out, and we'll still win it anyways.
Oh, nasty take there. But again, it's going to be a very interesting game 1. If we're talking about the place, especially now, again, the coach is absent, right? Without Renz. Sure, they have talked about it previously, but again, in this stage, will it affect the players? Hopefully not. But let's take a look at the last two matches for side of Geek. Not bad. Going up against Alter Ego, they got a sweep. But against EVOS, they need to somehow understand that. Oh, Sheffin, what's wrong? Why are you moaning?
I remembered something very, very heartbreaking for all the Geek fans out there. We're not going to talk about it because we're very excited for the future. We don't talk about the past. But looking at the history here, they're still starting to crawl into the top standings here. Finally getting a win against Alter Ego, but I gotta say, man, against Alter Ego, there's not much to say.
I mean, we have to take a look at the loss to EVOS Legends, because honestly, in my opinion, it really feels like Geek Fam had that game. That should have been a 2-1 that went over to Geek Fam, but what cursed them was the discipline, the jitters, like you mentioned. It wasn't present in game number 3, but what was present is that, I don't know, greed. Baloyski's old name, but unfortunately for Baloy, well, and for Geek Fam, it wasn't Baloyski who was greeding out. Rather, it was the guy you see here on the screen, Luke, and the guy next to him, Niall. The top side of the map, they need to stop. Stay disciplined here, and Baloy is usually the one to make those calls, to make them stay disciplined. If they work on those issues, there's no doubt that Geek Fam will be one of the top teams in MPL Indonesia.
Well, if we're talking about the head-to-head here by Head and Shoulders as well, very similar stat line, right? Average KDA the same. Game durations just 2 minutes apart, basically. And again, if we're talking about the hero pool here, Dewa United, perhaps that is where the area that they can exploit. So we're having 28, so having 3 more hero pools here. Sure, they have switched it out around more players, but perhaps this is where they can capitalize, where variety comes into play. Geek Fam, they're quite readable during the drafts, not much flexes if we're talking about the draft from the side of Geek Fam. So Dewa United, they need to somehow capitalize on this stat.
I think speaking about variety though, Geek Fam already kind of fixed this problem this season. At least Baloy is on his way to learn those heroes that he's not familiar with. As you can see earlier in the weeks, I believe it's in the previous week against Alter Ego. He pulled off Cho 2 times, I believe. And the fact that he started to play Cho, it's kind of like Finn, right? He's starting to want to gain his confidence back on those high mechanical heroes. But you also have Luke as well with the signature Luke. So I don't think variety is not much of an issue for Geek Fam. They still gotta use that variety to be able to win in the draft and try to make some surprises against Coach Jack Lee, which we've talked about Coach Jack Lee earlier, right? It's always focused on those 5v5 team fights. We always look at Dewa United's composition and look at, oh wow, this guy, like, this composition is really good on the big fights, but you gotta realize it's not just about the big fights. There's some pickoffs, there's some isolation in the game, especially in the late game. When you have two waves crashing in the top and bottom, it's gonna be a whole different game.
All right, it is.
Okay, Coach Julian apparently, quote-unquote coach, and shadow analyst, is going to be helping him in the background. And a lot of respect coming in from Dewa United in Kaja band, Natalia band for Baloyski, and also a boy with his Valentina.
Well, looking at the draft here, it's pretty straightforward. From the side of Dewa United, they want to somehow, again, already targeting Baldor, right? With the Natalia and as well as Kaja, it's just, you know what, Baloy, let's limit your hero. Valentina, very good, also straightforward approach. It seems like he will not go for that Valentina. Perhaps he wants to go for that Yves. Again, they like team fight, and Yves has more team fight to offer.
Yeah, if they really want to take or kind of nullify that team fighting prowess that Dewa United have, the Yves ban will most probably come through here for a Geek Fam. But understanding again, they might want to go for, whoa, a Fanny ban is what I was expecting here, but they go for the Uranus. Remember, Dewa with Ray, different to Dewa with Lanaya. Fanny up for grabs, and as expected, as predicted, they go for it instantly. First pick.
Oh my god, now, sure, Fanny first pick. Ray, as we all know, MDL, he really likes his Fanny, and man, when he is on fire, he is on fire. So
who's better though, Niall or Ray on the Fanny?
You know what, if we're talking about who's better, I might say Niall. But this is also Dewa United saying, you know what, I do not want to give Niall the Fanny. But there you go, Geek, bold move. Picking up the Forza on top of that Fanny.
Please do not pick Franco here. Now, I understand the Forza pick. Oh, okay. I like this better than the Franco because you have that lockdown towards the Fanny, even though it's harder to execute than a Franco. But you also have to realize that if you're picking a Franco in early this draft, it's going to get countered real hard. As you can see against EVOS Legends, Dreams just hard countering Baloyski with that Atlas. And that is, I would say, Baloyski's weakness in this season. And I like the Chow too, even though he's not the flex pick that he was before, he still has a lot to offer, a lot more variation in terms of gameplay. But the respawn here is very, very good. Terizla and Yves. I like the Yves pick because before this, the Yves was not priority for a Geek Fan because already has a Fanny in hand for Coach Jack Lee. That's why a boy doesn't want to go for that. Yeah, I mean, looking for burst.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this Yves pick, right? Saw it. With the Valentina pick, it seems like he wants that Yves. But again, this is something that Dewa United hasn't really done. They usually pick the trio mid, jungler, mid, and as well as roam. But this time, they switched their approach. They prio hero for Dixon, who barely gets an MPL game. So let's see here. What will Geek Fam pick to complete their first phase? It's in the keys to victory. You need to watch out Luke's glue. And there you go, Luke to close out first phase.
Luke's glue, sometimes you might even say it's glue's Luke, right? Because of how much power he has on this hero, a signature pick for him. But this time, we gotta remember, it's a glue pick into a lane counter. It's a good lane matchup for Dixon. Sure, he is inexperienced in the MPL, but it doesn't change the fact that the Terizla does amazing against the glue. Terizla was already a good counter pick before. Now with the glue nerfs, it's even harder to lane against a Terizla. Here though, new ammunition for Geek Fam. Joining Onyx Prodigy in 2022, Niall reached the semifinals in MDL Indonesia Season 7. And currently, Niall has strengthened Geek Fam's power. And within a lone status from Onyx Prodigy. Oh, that's interesting. I thought he was just bought out, but he's still a lone player, so he's technically still an Onyx player.
So what's the story there? Is it because Onyx doesn't want to let go of Niall? Because I believe that's not necessary because you already have Kyrie and Albert as two junglers of your team. You could have just let Lyle go to Geek Fam and let him just be permanent there. Like, what's the story?
Yeah, that's a good... Maybe it's a win-win where Geek Fam doesn't really want to gamble in buying Niall out. So, you know what? We don't know, but let's focus on the draft again. Kufra has been banned out again. Like we mentioned earlier, Leo Murphy likes the team fight playstyle. He really likes to initiate the hard, heavy hitting tanks. But to close out the bans, they will commit to a Beatrix ban here. So what does this signify? It signifies that perhaps they might pick up the Brody? I think Brody here just makes sense for inside of Geek Fam.
It does make sense, but...
Going up against Fanny, right?
Yeah, but against Yves and Terizla,
Exactly. That's the point that I was going to make. Against the Yves and Terizla, very difficult to play this...
To Claude.
To play this Brody. We're going to take a look at the ban first, though. Remember, last ban coming in for Dewa. We saw the Lancelot hovered over in the third pick by Geek Fam before they ultimately went for the glue. So the Lancelot should be the choice, and it is the choice that they do go for here, trying to nail down Nail. Or Niall.
Oh. Okay. I like to say Noel than Niall, by the way. But we got a comment from the man himself. I'm happy to play in MPL. The victory against AE is a beginning for my discipline. Good words from Niall because in terms of discipline, he has a lot to work on. But the counter pick immediately with the Martis countering all the CCs, all the burst damage, also that mobility from Vanny, from Ray. So it's a good matchup for Geek Fam, and I like that they're still saving up that gold lane pick for the last pick. Just try to read out what Dewa United's want to do. But not much option, to be honest, because gold lane has not been picked for both.
Yeah, I mean, Claude is the automatic pick here for side of Dewa United. Why? They want to add more AoE. They are committing to a play style that is heavy towards that team fight. Right? With the penalty zone, with the real world relation, what did they add? They had that blazing duet. So it's going to be semi-pick-off and as well as team fight. But Geek Fam, is this carry a forced carry pick?
I would say so because you have two very, very hard frontliners in Terizla and Arlet. The best way to counter it is with a proper DPS that can burst down those frontliners. And even though it does quite bad against Fanny and Yves, if you can rush that Wind of Nature, I think you can do just fine in a big team fight.
Wow, man. When looking at the draft, it's a very hard draft to pull off for Geek Fam. A lot more room for error for Dewa. They can make these mistakes and still be able to win it out. But remember, for Geek Fam, it's all lies on Beloyski. 2 games on Cho, 2 wins last time. If he can replicate that, then it's going to be a story for the ages. Choloyski.
That you're forcing it too much, but I am happy if Beloyski is going to perform on this Chow. Let's check out the emblem for Beloyski. Pull yourself together. So he's looking for more engages, more flickers. But here we go, game number 1 of Geek Fam versus Dewa United.
Let's see here. Again, a very interesting emblem here from Leo Murphy. Not interesting, but very straightforward, right? Very honest. He is building towards that just tank. He adds firmness. He wants tenacity as well. And that Arlet, why? He wants to, see, he wants to invade. Take a look at this. Oh my God, again, just covering, providing cover for the side of Ray here against Beloyski, who is, oh my God, who is quite annoying. But then again, it's just the early game. Again, something to note that Watt is somehow insecure. He wants himself to be safe from that crowd control. He opted for that purified pickup.
Okay, interesting emblem here from Ray. Usually a Fanny player that wants to burst goes for lethal ignition rather than the killing spree. That it looks like he knows that the threat is just way too much for him to handle. And if he goes for a kill, he can get out with a bit of HP bonus from that killing spree. The top lane though, it's pretty good lane matchup for Marky.
Yeah, pretty good. Again, if we're talking about the XP here, okay, Terizla opted to add more adaptive penetration, but the glue here, he wants QC, he just wants to move around, wants to stay in his lane, and going up against Terizla, it's very tough, right? If you just go and brawl in that EXP, so he understands that it's not necessary. But let's see here, the approach from the side of Terizla. Dixon hasn't really been as aggressive as I expected.
he's just been clearing out the wave and then rotating over. And now, though, he's giving some good space for K's now to go into that XP lane. Both mid laners are already rotating towards the first turtle. Meanwhile, Watts and Marky just has a little bit of a tango up top, clearing it out, but Geek Fam should have a bit more pressure to play with this. Ray mirroring up top. Very disciplined gameplay from Dewa United. Understanding they do not have what it takes. Oh, penalty zone onto Luke. Split going to be used up right now as Luke is able to escape for a bit, but it's first blood over to Leo Murphy. Dewa United stealing away the orange buff up top as well.
I think that's a W, Chef, and I'll take a look at here as well. Watch, just using that Blazing Whip for farming. But again, it's a win, Dewa United. They take the orange buff away. Sure, they lost a turtle, but in that team fight, one member was taken down. That was Luke, and that's already dub. Take a look at the economy here. It's favoring Dewa United. Take a look at the talent's prediction here.
Split, as Luke would say. 3-3. Well, in the English desk here, Dewa United versus Geek Fam. I don't know why you guys picking Dewa United, though.
It's just more complete, right? They have someone that can split push in that family. They have 4 members that can team fight as well and deal a lot of AoEs. Take a look at the catch.
Oh, going on to Leo Murphy here. Good flicker out. Thought that might just be an easy pickoff for Geek Fam, knowing they still have that decimation in hand for Nile. But again, Dewa United, they've been doing a good job at understanding the assessment and just overall, I would say, kind of outplaying Beloyski here, who again will not have that Way of the Dragon, and so Watt is free to just walk up and get out. Ray, bottom lane trying to invade, but on this fan, you got to be careful up against that Martis.
I like the spotlight here to Leo Murphy because we've seen, we already talked about this, the keys of victory, the mirroring gameplay from Leo Murphy, and especially if you're playing against a Chow and you're playing an Arlet, every time you mirror, it's always a W for you in terms of damage rate and also just limiting the potential of that Chow in a team fight.
You know what, in hindsight, I thought that Watt's Purify is a little bit overkill, but it's very effective now. Beloyski can't really target Watts. The only viable target that is in his target is Keys, and Keys can jump out of that Way of Dragon with a real world revelation.
Yeah, because for me, I think I'm more worried about Marky than I am about Watts. I think the Purify was a good option to go for up against the Chol, but remember, this is Marky on a flicker, and now Leo Murphy understands that, jumps in, RWM locking him down, Blazing Duet in the final slash. Marky's still able to evade for a lot though, but it's still going to be a kill. He walked back into the RWM, flickered back in. Geek Fam still able to secure the neutral objective on the other side of the map. And it's the same story as the first minute. Both teams just trading and mirroring each other's movements.
I mean, the trade, I think, favoring towards Dewa United Esports, especially when Watt gets all the gold plating in the top lane. And if he's a gold laner, might be getting a turret as well. So this is a complete W for Dewa United Esports. So reading that movement from Beloyski, considering that he doesn't want to go for protection for Marky, he doesn't want to peel for Marky, and choosing to go for an objective team fight. So good read by Dewa.
Yeah, I'm glad we touched on the mirror play that Dewa United Esports used to do back in MDL. Now, this is more of their identity, right? They lost the turtle twice, but it's all for... they traded. They got the top side. They got the kill towards Marky. They got the lane as well. And things are not looking good for Geek Fam, who prioritizes that turtle. Let's see in the mid side.
Penalty zone onto 2 right now, locking Beloyski down as Ray moves over. Cutthroat onto the back.
Massive.
Beloyski getting taken out. Beautiful cable management from the prodigy, Ray.
Dixon showing Pendragon how it's done with the flicker. But in the mid lane, Boy might be in trouble.
Oh, it's a dive.
Oh, no one's by wings. Oh, that's good info there. And again, a boy caught here. He has no flicker. That's information to commit the mid side. Dewa United here, comms-wise, very, very wise. And they are looking for another invade. Let's see.
Slam, pass. And that's it. Way of the Dragon as well onto Dixon. Everything used up with a decimation as well. 1-4-0. Geek Fam are finally on the board. But is it too late?
Is it too late? I would say no, because Nile is not really a jungler that's going to fall off real hard in late game, and you're facing gets a fanny. Oh my goodness, look!
Leo Murphy now caught, uses Vengeance, final slash as well, but Leo Murphy should fall here. And it's Nile who picks up the kill again. Dewa United, their gold lead disappearing slowly but surely as Geek Fam are able to take control of the neutral objective once again. Turtle number 3 now being contested. Dewa United, they want to go for a fight, but they don't have a roamer. Watt looking for the position, pops into BMI in the back right now. Let's see if Ray can get there. Nope, Niall secures it before he can even reach. Luke with the split. Now on to Dixon. Dixon brought back to the team right there with a pass and a penalty zone. Very aggressively, but it's going to be into the feathered airstrike. Ray jumping into the back right now, but it's going to be locked out of the way. The dragon from Beloyski, and even Watt falls to Geek Fam. Luke and Niall.
Has turned now as Geek Fam. But what happened was they looked for fights, they stayed proactive, and it paid off. Take a look at the carry now. He was behind almost 600 gold, I believe, but now it's just down 200. A very good comeback from the side of carry. And to add to that, take a look at the marches. 1,000 gold lead. Hunter Strike built, and things are looking, you know, slowly but surely looking bad for side of Dewa United. Can they bounce back even though Watt has just secured his golden staff?
Ooh, I like the Hunter Strike though from Niall. Usually I'm very confused by, like, you can replace the Molten Essence if you're a utility jungler Martis with a damage item to get more farming, and I think this is the way to go, but they're almost in trouble. Beloyski didn't pop the flicker, but a lot of respect towards this Fanny in Ray. A boy using that warrior boots also. Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, stun.
Boy though, for the airstrike, stunning Ray down. He's trying to run away. Niall! Oh! He pops into decimation, but it's only onto Dixon now. A good stun onto 2, but Niall had the mortal coil. Good escape from Geek Fam, still holding on to their gold lead.
Oh my god, what an engage. Take a look at the positioning of Luke here. Will he be able to catch Fanny? But it seems like no commitment just yet. Again, they are United. They need to stabilize here. They are down 1,500 gold. So what they need to do is, again, funnel the gold towards Watts. And oh my god, does that forces Ray? Oh, it's okay. So Geek Fam here, again, with this lead, what they're able to do, they need to somehow gain more control. Controlling the far lane, especially now the Lord is up. And I feel like Geek Fam has the opportunity to do so by sending the Marxists perhaps downstairs.
Good Shun Pu out of the final slash, bringing Dixon back with the way, the dragon!
Whoa.
Holy Beloyski! On the Cho, you don't see this a lot, but in Season 12, Beloy is different.
Chaloyski, as you would say, Mirko, but he doesn't have that wave dragon, so the threat is not that high. But Luke has the split though.
Yeah, just going at it, slam, utilizing it just for a bit. Oh, Watts finds a turret in the bottom lane, going for a tier 2. It's a trade here. The mirror gameplay that we mentioned. Luke is still holding on to Leo Murphy now, looking for more. Slam. Back again, immobilizing him, and with the mount on the split. It's gonna be the real Roman Palatian as Ray jumps in deep, finds a boy with a cutthroat now as he goes in for some cables. Marquis with a few fadeaway shots, and Luke will fall. He pops in a split though. He's able to survive for a bit. Let's see how long he can survive this one. He goes under the turret, he soaks it in. Watt's still chasing him down. He has full stacks. A boy is respawning now. 10 seconds, not there to help him. It was Beloy that could, but I think it's not worth it. Luke will fall, and Dewa United, is it worth for them?
No, Geek Fam overcommitted there. I mean, they are trying to commit and catch Leo Murphy. They did, but they lost the boy and Luke. That's not a good trade, especially when you know you already got the Lord. That's not a good trade at all. Sure, you still have that lead in that economy, but with this Lord, it doesn't really do you any good. Now, Dewa United has the opportunity to still and control, you know, the map here.
You can already see how hard of a game here is for a boy, because the dive from Dewa United is just so much, and he cannot just easily execute that feathered airstrike without any kind of bothering whatsoever, because penalty zone flicker, there is that threat. Cables from Ray, you can also have Watt with Blazing Duad. So far with how good Beloyski is on the Chow, 0-4 is a really bad KDA, but it is understandable.
It truly is, and looking at the stat right now, Geek Fam, they're still able here with their power spike, with their power to just do invades here towards that purple, but it seems like they learned from their mistake earlier. They do not really want to overcommit. They need to, again, stabilize with this lead that they have. And if we're talking about the items here, carry all 3 prior items collected, right? Corrosion, Golden Staff, and DHS. So, again, damage is already there. is already peaked, perhaps for out of Geek family at this current stage. It's a question for Dewa United though. What will they do? What are they lacking here? Fanny built that Sea Halberd. Why for Luke and as well as Nile? I like it. I like it. It's wise. So that Luke will not be able to just harass the front lines of, or the back lines of Dewa United Esports. A very good item pickup.
I think the bigger issue at hand, though, for Dewa United Esports is the fact that Dixon is 2 levels below a Luke. 1.4k behind as well. This is a winning matchup, by the way, for Dixon. It's a Terizla versus Glue. We've seen it multiple times, and we always see Terizla dominate the Glue in lane. Now, outside of the lane is where I would say Luke has just been shining. And Nile, what the heck? Yeah, the Hunter Strike and the BOD. That's why he's able to take it so quick.
Harusan and BOD is a very aggressive, I would say too aggressive of a build here for Geek Fam Nile, but I think this is just his playstyle. He wants to go for a kill, and I believe already a proper respect towards the physical damage from Watt and Ray as well with the steel leg blades, but is that enough?
Oh! Look at the purple! Oh my goodness! Beloyski with a Jikundo flicker! He read that out, and now Beloyski is going to be caught for a bit. Leo Murphy's looking for the final slash, able to find Marky right now. It's a real-world manipulation, and even the penalty zone gets at it. Marky falls here. Beloyski's next on the chopping block, but is able to dash out of the wall, getting out of range, getting out of harm's way. Luke disengaging for the team right now, but Nile is able to pick up the Lord. Luke diving deep, losing a lot of HP, but is still able to escape with a split. Ultimately, definitely worth it for Geek Fam. My goodness, Beloy. I don't know if you guys saw the map, but he just Jikundo flickered into the bush, knowing Ray was there without any vision. Holy moly.
That's what I am concerned about here. Dewa United, they need to be able to protect Ray, especially when he wants to take the purple. But again, they need to defend this lore. Dewa United, I feel like Geek Fam here has the room to penetrate with the power that they have right now. Boy here, still killless, but it seems like with the items that he has collected, that Feather Airstrike already will be felt by the members of Dewa United.
The damage is not much though, because he has already just built that Winter Truncheon, knowing that he's one of the most vulnerable member of Geek Fam Esports here. But it's gonna be Beloyski looking for engage with his conceal. Ooh, okay.
That's a charge down in the bottom lane. They don't even need someone to help out. Wade the Dragon onto Leo Murphy. Beloyski now caught penalty zone. Going to be able to lock him down for a bit. He has the immortality though. Loses it here. Let's see if they can actually take him down with a real realm manipulation. Marky is in the midst of it all right now. Jumps in with nature, but it gets cut down. And now it's going to be a blazing duet all the way to the back, zoning a boy. Marky a bit too far. Third death in this game, but Geek Fam are still able to hold on to that lead. They'll be able to pressure this purple buff that is coming up. Just try to stop Ray from being a nuisance.
But it's still a W thing overall for Geek Fam. They have the towers, they have the turrets, but Marquis though, I think that's not play for him. Just in the midst of it all, from the damage he received, able to get 2 kills, but I want to talk about the penalty zone. Was that necessary to just chase Beloy down?
You know what, I think at that point, right, Dewa United, they need, desperately they need a win. And I feel like going against and commit to a penalty zone on towards Beloyski, who has already that Immortal, I feel like is worth it because he lost his life and that Immortal. So in the next few minutes, Geek Fam will be able to somehow target Beloyski more efficiently, right? And let's talk about the keys to victory earlier, Geek Fam. About the mid lane, a boy, right? We touched on that they need to win the mid lane matchup, but it seems like a boy here who is sitting at a 0-6. Not a good stat if you compare it to Keys, who's on that Eve. 405, again, very effective. They really like to... with the conceal, but...
Jikundo and the flicker dodged away from. Final splash on the 3 members right now, but Marky's still going to be able to gun him down, taking a lot of damage, blazing right up the back line with a nature as well. It's a Winter Truncheon bought by a boy right now as Luke pops in a split, but gets belted down by the likes of Watt. Now the flicker forward from Marky! And he finds redemption, slays Watt, and just like that, bottom lane is wide open for the taking. Dewa United have lost 3 in this team fight.
How does this always happen, Gandhi Miracle? Every time Beloyski makes a mistake, somehow, someway, Geek Fam will able to capitalize on that mistake from Beloyski. How the hell did they win the team fight? And I think one of the main problems there is just Keys pulling the trigger way too fast on that real world manipulation, not getting anyone in his domain.
Yeah, that's a little bit too premature, and this domino effect, right? Geek Fam now has a 4,000 goal lead in minute 16, and they have the Lord, they have the map as well. Things are looking bad towards here forward side of Dewa United Esports, and again, now Ray, what is he able to do? He's just split push and waiting for the right moment. Now let's take a look here. Full items already for Clog, so damage-wise, Watts can dish out the damage, but why isn't he as proactive as expected? It's because the zoning from Marcus and as well as Fox are very hard for him to jump in, but now he'll play again.
This time no flicker though, so it's a bit safer for the rest of Dewa, but it doesn't change the fact that the Lord is still down in the bottom lane. Now try to be cleared out by Watt as full stacks. Baits out a second skill from a boy, Ray. With the cables, no purple buff. 3 seconds on that purple buff as Geek Fam will definitely invade and take it away from Dewa United. Ray has been placed in this position before, but not against the likes of Geek Fam.
Now this is where things starts to get hard for Geek Fam. The only engage mechanic that I can think of that's very reliable is that Bloisky Brave the Dragon, and he doesn't have a flicker. That's gonna be hard for them to siege the base, and especially when you have a marquee, you have a carry that doesn't really have a lot of range, it's gonna be harder for you to make plays to deal some damage towards the members of Dewa United Esports. You gotta have to wait for Watt to dive in, or maybe Leo Murphy to dive in deep, a bit too deep too, to make Marquee quote-unquote playable here. And Dewa United Esports, they have all the tools that they need to be able to defense this inhibitor. They have good wave clear in Watt in case. They also have a good split push mechanic with Ray. I would say the saving grace for Geek Fam right now is just, yeah, this play. I want them to read Ray's movement, and they're doing it right now.
I mean, very good approach here from side of Geek Fam. We've seen Geek Fam leading. We've seen Geek Fam holding a game and just completely lose it in towards that late game. So it seems like Geek Fam here in this current game in particular, they have stabilized and really learned from their mistakes, right? I mean, going up against EVOS, they are in a similar position. Oof. They have the map, but they completely lost it when they are pushing, so they need to be careful of that. Dewa United Esports, on the other hand, they need to exploit this split push composition that they have. Let's hear 30 seconds towards the next Lord, the Evolved Lord, mind you. And if Geek Fam has complete control, Dewa United even so, regardless they have the Claude, it's going to be very hard for them to defend. Knowing that only 2 base turrets are left. See, this is what I'm talking about. Ray needs to completely rinse and repeat this approach. Just split, push the far lane, forcing Geek Fam, just a member, or perhaps 2, to have control that far lane.
How do you do that without a purple buff though, right? I mean, it's been taken away from him almost every single time, right as Geek Fam took control of the map. And now Dewa United, they're kind of forced to fight or flight. It's just that for Dewa United. If they don't take a fight, if they don't win a fight, it's over. But if they leave this Lord, Geek Fam will just utilize it and keep on sieging Dewa United down. Dewa will have to gamble this. We'll have to go for a 50-50 team fight.
Interesting placement here for Baloy. He wants to read Ray's movement in camping that blue buff of his own, but I don't think it's gonna work because Ray already has experience with that a couple of times, and it's not gonna fall down to the same trap. But the trap that they can do though in the bottom lane, because the one who's gonna clear the lane is most likely gonna be Ray, and there you go. He's gonna try to clear it, and he's gonna, okay. I thought he was gonna go for like that that rune that gives him the vision, but he doesn't go for it right now. Geek Fam though, in terms of like 5v5 big team fights, I think they have a disadvantage here because you have penalty zone, you have a lot of ults coming in from Dewa United Esports that's more useful in this kind of 5v5 team fights.
They need to split them up. They need to isolate them. And right now, Beloy's doing a good job at doing exactly that. Lee Murphy finding an opening penalty zone, and even the final slash into the real world manipulation. It's an AoE battle. One of the back dealing damage, now jumping back to the BMI, but they're all still caught in the real world manipulation as Luke mounts it back. Ray's able to find a cutthroat to the back. Lee Murphy with a good stun onto Beloy, who now uses the Shanpu, able to escape for a bit. Luke now getting chased down. Another final slash onto Niall. He loses his immortality. He buys the winner truncheon, both Luke and Niall, but it is inevitable. Dewa United are taking them out one by one. Heck, they even got the Evolved Lord.
SOS.
As I said, the discipline is not there for Geek Fam. They have all the tools to make a forced error from Dewa United Esports. They have all the ways, but they're still trying to end here.
Winner Truncheon used up by a boys, made it out and in the black. You can't sell anything for the immortality. It's a wipeout. Whenever you count Dewa out is when they strike. 1-0, Dewa United.
Oh my goodness. It's just deja vu. Deja vu, Chef and Geek Fam, whenever they're in the lead. They just bottle it. They choked.
What happened?
Choked big time, and this is why the Lord Dance is important. Ray, he showed in the map.